Hi everyone, I'm Suzanne Boyd. Welcome to Eye on South Florida. Today we are talking about medical records, and you probably don't even think about your medical record until you actually need it. And if you don't have it, it can affect the care you get. Joining us today is Kenneth Pryor. He is a registered nurse in private practice. We have Lily Alba Hassan. She is a patient. And also Kevin Hauser. He is the CEO of Medefile, which is a fairly new company. Tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
Well, we've been around for about 11 years. Medefile is a personal health record, but much more so a medical record management system. And on behalf of our members, and along with their authorization, we go out and we do the actual gathering of a member's entire medical records from any of their doctors, hospitals, or healthcare facilities. We then digitize them, organize them, and store them in a secure repository where they and only those they authorize can have full access and control over them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from virtually anywhere in the world.
All right, Ken, so why is that so important to have access to your medical records?
So you have a comprehensive look of your complete medical history, so that you have access to your health, and so that you have the ability to produce all the tests and everything that you could possibly need. God forbid that you need medical health, you get admitted to the emergency room, you need any kind of treatment whatsoever. It's also good for personal health, preventive medicine as well.
You know, I think that a lot of people don't even realize how important it is until you get sick. And then you say, gosh, you know, I'm seeing 10 different doctors, and one doctor isn't talking to the other doctor, and they don't know what tests I've already had. Lily, how important is that?
Well, from family history and not having this advantage and being fortunate enough to see that Medefile is something that is so easy and accessible and gives me that proactive feeling of control over my health care. I realized that it was the best thing for me, even in situations of my yearly exams and being able to, you know, run tests and do different comparisons and having that ability to see that. And it was very easy for my doctors, and it was actually, I think it was more of an important factor for me, and at the same time my doctor seeing that I was proactive. I think everyone needs to be proactive to their health. I think everyone needs to be informed. I think everybody needs to know what's going on with, you know, different conditions that you're not prepared to have.
And be your own health advocate.
And be your own health advocate. It's very, very important. And I'm very happy that I have Medefile.
You were talking about your nephew, your 21-year-old nephew, who recently had a pain in his arm and went to the doctor, and it turned out to be something quite serious.
He's 21 years old, and he was, you know, out like the boys, you know, playing, boxing, hurt his arm. And at the age of 21, the last thing you think you're going to have is any chronic condition. So you're never prepared. And what happened is he went to the doctors, was seen by a neurologist, probably a team of like 7 doctors. He was then diagnosed with chondrosarcoma. He has been treated at Sloan Kettering in New York, and now, because of his situation, his recovery, surgeries, therapies, we need to have a history. And this is where Medefile and having your own personal health records is important.
You know, I was telling these guys earlier that I actually got a blood clot in my leg after my last baby, and I've seen dozens of doctors. I've been to numerous hospitals, and now I carry around a huge thick file of all my MRIs and my ultrasounds and my test results, just because when I go see one doctor, I want to be prepared. And you say, I don't need to be doing that anymore, basically.
That's absolutely right. Your story is no different than most. Unfortunately, it's a misnomer that all of our doctors communicate with each other regularly. Well, unfortunately, most doctors don't communicate outside of just sending over records when they're needed, weeks or what we've seen months after they've been requested. So it's up to the individual to really take that proactivity, to become empowered, to become knowledgeable, and to then become a more compliant patient. And that's exactly what we promote. Having any and all of your information is the single biggest tool that any individual can have. And that's exactly what we do for every one of our members.
And it's not just having it, you know, a couple of days later, Ken, as you were mentioning, but it's important to have it right then when the doctor is seeing you. Why is that?
Well, it's interesting. It's kind of like it's interesting how people monitor their credit rating, their credit scores, and they make sure that their financial health is in order. People need to be as proactive with their medical health as they are with their financial health. So actually having an electronic medical record, a personal health record that's digitalized and that's fully accessible, that's comprehensive, that's updated, that is something that you can access at any particular time 24/7 is just as important for your medical health as monitoring your credit rating is to your financial health. And it's just interesting that people don't take as much effort for their medical health as they do for their financial health. And I think that that's something that's actually changing. It's very important.
Well, you trust the doctors. I mean, you really do. I mean, as a patient, you go in thinking they know what's best. They know standard of care, but standard of care isn't always the right thing for you.
Well, they do. They do know what's best for you. They have gone to school, but they have not gone to school to make sure that you're organized and comprehensive in your your health record. They don't have time for that. They have so many other things that they have to be updated on. They have to be current on medications. They have to be current on current treatments. They want to be able to see you within a narrow period of time, a short window. You need to have everything available for them so that they can actually assess you comprehensively and completely.
Yeah, and you know, Suzanne, it's medical errors is between the 5th and 8th leading cause of death in the United States. Close to 250,000 people die every year due to medical errors. A good portion of that is because of the lack of information that providers and individuals have. You know, one of the things that we have in our system is a drug-to-drug interaction tool. So if in fact you've gone to one doctor and he's prescribed 6 medications and you go to a new doctor and they prescribed an additional 2 without really looking too much into what you're already taking, well, our system was designed that as soon as you enter in a new medication, it cross-references any and all of the other medications you're taking of a possible drug-to-drug interaction and let you know, hold off, let's yield for a minute, call the doctor, let them know that there is a possible interaction. And at the same token, we also offer something called our MediMinder, which is to help an individual keep compliant with a medication regimen. So if a doctor prescribes that you take medication 3 times a day, 7 days a week, our system then automatically will call the individual and remind them it's time to take the medication.
I need that really badly. I forget all the time. I mean, it's like, gosh, I mean, you got a million things on your mind. Remembering to take, your medication every day
exactly
is really not something.
And this all happened, and the reason that we felt the entire concept of personal health records came to be was about 11 years ago. My grandmother was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and she was down here in South Florida as a widow. My entire family lived up north. And my father, who's an only child and owned his own business at the time, had to make sure that he came down to Florida to treat her, or at least to care for her. And at that point, he would take her from doctor to doctor. And every doctor that he would take her to required boy, my apologies,
okay.
Requested all of the records from the previous doctor. And he said, this is ridiculous. There's got to be a better way to get all these records, because again, she couldn't get seen and treated the proper way until they had all the previous information.
Right.
And that's really how the brainchild of Medefile was formed. And now fast forward 11 years, we're a fully developed company that has thousands of members on our system, and really implore everybody to be proactive and to become more knowledgeable. As Ken was saying, people are much more interested in their financial health, and what they don't realize is that a lot of your actual health has to do with your financial health. If you go for a life insurance policy and there's an error in your medical record, that will have a tremendous effect on all the policy premiums that you potentially pay. So it's very important that individuals at least once, twice, 3 times a year take a look at this information and make sure that there's no errors contained in there.
And not only that, but you're also paying sometimes double, triple for the exact same test that you already paid for.
Hands down.
Well, and on a legal standpoint, I'm a legal assistant, and on a legal standpoint...
Hold that one second, Lily. We're going to have to take a break really quick, but we're going to come back and talk about that. I also want to talk about the specifics of how you sign up for this, how you get all your medical records into this Medefile. We're going to talk about that when Eye on South Florida comes right back. Stay with us.